What if tarot isn't about predicting the future, but about revealing what's already inside you? From Renaissance playing cards to sacred mirrors of the subconscious, tarot has always carried layers of meaning. In this episode, we'll explore how tarot becomes a spiritual tool, why it resonates with Jungian archetypes, and how you can use it for self-reflection, healing, and empowerment. Welcome back. It's your spiritual besties. I'm Elise.
And I'm Jess. And this is Spiritual Alchemy,
the podcast where we explore the intersection of science, spirituality, mysticism, and philosophy.
We're here to share the wisdom of the universe that we've gained through study, practice, and life experience,
helping to provide insight and knowledge to anyone embarking on or in the midst of their spiritual journey.
Right. So,
we're big tarot girlies.
We are big tarot girlies. I whip those cards out on the regular.
Jess does. And if you're not following us on TikTok or Instagram, on TikTok, we do a Tarot Tuesday.
Hosted by yours truly.
Hosted by Jess.
So. And yeah, tarot is such an interesting tool. I think it has a lot of misinterpretations and a lot of negative light shined on it in a way that people don't understand it, so they fear it.
The hoodoo voodoo cards, I think I was called once.
Yeah.
Don't pull out your hoodoo voodoo cards here. I was like, relax.
Yeah. Like, take a beat. But when you actually get into what tarot is and what it is actually supposed to be used for and the lore of it all, you can see that it is not the devil's tool. It's not a tool used to predict or to instill fear. It is a tool used for reflection and observation and a way to get a little deeper insight into what's going on. What are the vibes of the day? What's going on in your life?
What are the vibes?
So it has a pretty deep history.
I mean, playing cards in general, because that's what I think of it. Like tarot cards, because you can also, fun fact, you can pull tarot using a regular card deck.
Yep.
So the history of cards in itself, I find absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to dive into my history.
Let's do it.
China, 9th century Tang Dynasty. First playing cards likely, they don't actually know because China's history is so vast and goes so far back and a lot of it has been lost to different dynasties. Everyone's overthrowing each other. So they think 9th century that playing cards first came from China, where paper leaf games were connected to both gambling and paper money. So you think money, yes, it's paper. And they were called leaf games. Early cards spread west along trade routes, the Silk Road, think Marco Polo times, showing how play, luck, and symbolism traveled across cultures and continents. So it was clearly something that people loved to do, and they shared it. And it was something that you could do that would allow you to do it without speaking the language. You could show, and the imagery on these leaf games would probably speak for themselves.
Yeah. The imagery or maybe the numbers, because math is a universal language.
So into the Islamic world and Europe, by the 13th and 14th century, so a couple thousand years later, cards appeared in Egypt, the Mamluk deck, I think, is that how you pronounce it? With suits like cups, swords, coins, and polo sticks. And for any tarot people out there, those should start to sound familiar. And then Europe adapted these suits into hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades, making the popular pastime game that I think we all, you have to be living under like a really big rock to not know a playing card deck today.
Yeah. I mean, that it's like such a way to pass the time. There's so many different ways to use a deck of cards. It's probably the most useful like party game to have, because
I grew up in the Italian household. We pulled out those cards all the time. Euchre, rummy.
I played gin with my mom a lot. Yep. And poker. Love it. So in the 15th century in Italy, there's a popular card game known as Tarocchi.
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 Been singing a lot of Italian.
I love it. For playing games among the elite. So it is not for divination. It's a trick-taking card game. So similar to bridge, played by the aristocrats in Italy. And the elaborate imagery reflected the culture and philosophical ideas of the Renaissance. Flash forward to 18th century France. Francais. This association with tarot and divination began in the late 18th century, particularly in France, with occultists such as Antoine Court de Gébelin.
Sure.
My
French is not as good as my Italian.
My French should be better than it is. So this is linked to cards in ancient Egyptian wisdom, mysticism,
the Mamluk.
The Mamluk, assigning deeper symbolic meanings to the imagery and sparking interest among fortune telling and spiritual exploration. And then a century later, esotericism in the 19th century England, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, British spiritual organization, further cemented tarot's place as a spiritual tool in the late 19th century.
It's almost like people started falling away from religion and needed something else to believe in.
And you know what? These names that I'm about to say are going to resonate with some people because members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, such as author Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, created the influential Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This brought detailed symbolic illustrations to the cards that has become the foundation for many modern tarot decks that we see.
Wow. So it's about 200 years old, right? Am I doing that math right? 19th century? Yeah, because that's the 1800s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
It does, but it has such ancient roots. It goes back so far. And it is interesting to see how it evolved from something that was a game into something that has a deeper meaning. And tarot it does not predict the future.
Can you say that again for people?
Tarot does not predict the future. And I'm going to put it in simple terms in what I explain to people when I'm reading tarot and I do it for them. And they're like, what is this? Is it going to tell me when am I going to meet the love of my life? When am I going to get that job? When am I going to, when is my abundance going to come in? When am I going to be a millionaire? I can only tell you what is happening based on the energy of the current moment. So, for example, I think this is the best way to explain it. Let's say I'm doing a love reading for Elise. I'll pull some cards. We'll get the energy of what's happening. I won't answer yes or no questions. I can just say, hey, looks like things are going really well. This person is devoted to you, things like that. Like you can get the feeling of the person, how you're feeling about them, the energy of a certain situation. If there was maybe like a conflict that arose, I could say like, well, this is how they're feeling about that conflict, but here's what might be the resolution if you take this action.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. Not saying this is going to be the exact outcome of this event. What it does show you is here's an opportunity for you to do some self-reflection. And if you take that self-reflection, here's where it can lead you. But if she chooses another option, the cards will change.
Yeah. I mean, Jess and my friendship started with tarot nights. And the way that I'm going to compliment, I'm going to like sing your praises for a second. The way that you read it's so eloquent because everything she just explains is how you read. It's not like this is what's going to happen in your future. It's like, this is what is happening. And you paint a picture and you tell a story with the cards in a way that really reflects. And I think you said that, reflects. And that's the key word in this. It's going to reflect what's already happening in your life.
Tarot is a mirror to what is happening in your subconscious mind and the energy that you are emitting.
Yeah. So I forgot. I have a story about this.
Tell us.
In January of 2023, I had been really intentionally dating for a couple months, and this is going to make me sound so horrible. It's not like I dated a lot of people, but I didn't bullshit. I would go on a few dates and be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Are you in or out? And they were like, I'm out. And I was like, okay, bye. And there was just whatever moved me to pull cards in January of 2023. I specifically asked, is the man that's meant to be my person in my life already? And I was super open. I'd like meditated. I'd lit candles, put incense on. And I pulled the King and Queen of Pentacles, and then the King of Cups, 10 of Cups, 9 of Cups, all upright. And I think I text this. We were like just kind of becoming friends because I kind of text this to you to be like, hey, what do you see? And like, I had also text some other people from New York and they were like, really good things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think this man is already in my life. And 3 months later, I was dating him. And he was in my life. He was my director at the time.
I love those kind of stories.
Yeah.
I remember my first ever tarot reading.
Do you really?
Yeah. I got the first time I got my tarot read. I remember I was 12 years old and I was at a birthday party.
You were a baby.
I was a baby. But this woman came, like she was a psychic, and the mother of the girl whose birthday it was like a small group of us. It was like maybe six of us. And she did everybody's tarot reading. Oh. We all sat around a table and she like pulled cards for everybody. And she told me all this stuff, and it was like, she was like right on it. And I was like, this is so cool. So it's no wonder, I think now that I'm like, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I would say that I'm very enthusiastic about it. I have a lot of decks. I love the art that people come up with for it. I have really done the study to learn the meanings, but also what I find is that it's so intuitive, and I love pulling tarot because I feel like it makes me feel more in touch with my intuition. And it's my way of, it's my practice.
You just launched a memory into my head, and I'm going to give a shout out to my girlies from high school because I remember my first tarot night. Which ironically, maybe not ironically, because here I am talking about woo-woo shit. I now live with the girl who was also there that night in 7th grade. So what are you, 13?
Yeah.
And my one friend, Emma, she had a tarot deck and her mom was like super cool. So I'm sure she either got it. I can't remember if it was Emma's or someone, whatever. We had a tarot deck and she had like, this is not going to be culturally appropriate. I'm going to just already say that now. She put a turban on her head.
Oh God.
And she did she called herself Madame Tarot.
Oh my God.
And she like did an accent, and we had no idea what we were talking about. But I remember just howling in laughter at Emma pulling these cards being like, yes, and then you will meet your love, and then you will be a millionaire. And it was like the funniest thing when we were 13. Yeah. But you telling me that story about the birthday party, just, whoa. Madame Tarot. So shout out to the Buffalo girlies.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're listening. This is your moment.
And shout out to the Philly girlies. You know?
The best football teams in the league.
Yes. Straight
Anyway.
So tarot is a reflection of your subconscious. And the symbols in tarot reflect archetypes that resonate with the deeper unconscious parts of your psyche. It is a mirror to the inner self. So the cards act as a mirror, bringing this to the surface, what is already present within you, but you may feel like it's hidden from your conscious mind. And then it's an intuitive connection. So when you draw a card, your intuition and your subconscious mind select images that are relevant to your current situation, providing a snapshot of your internal landscape. And I love the way that just is described like that, because when you read tarot for other people, I would say it's really hard to read tarot for yourself, because sometimes it's really hard to look in the mirror.
Like I said, yeah. And when I pull for myself, I have to like do a deep 10, 15 minute meditation. But you know what I mean? Like to clear my own energy to tap in. So I totally resonate with that.
Yeah. And I think when I pull tarot for myself, I act as if it's me pulling for someone else. And that helps me see it a little clearer, because I think just it's kind of like sometimes when you're too close, you can't see it. Sometimes when you're in it, you can't quite see the full picture. So it helps to have somebody zoom out. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a tool for insight, not fortune telling. So it's current energy and path. Tarot reveals the energy surrounding your current circumstance and illuminates the potential outcomes of your present path. So it's like, hey, if you keep walking down this road, there's going to be a tree.
It's your compass.
It's your compass. So it's like, yeah, you can keep going down this road. There's going to be a tree, then there's going to be a pond, and then there's going to be a waterfall. But if you go down this road, well, then there's like a rock and a cactus. Like it's
not a prophecy.
It's not a prophecy. It's just like, hey, this is what's down this road. This is what's down this road. This road leads to the Emerald City. This road leads to the witch's house.
Yeah, it's a lesson in like free will, divination, that you are steering your own ship based off of your decisions.
Yeah, that's true. So tarot, Jungian psychology, and archetypes. The major arcana. So there are 2 parts to a tarot deck.
Yeah, teach me. I'm still learning, but my brain is scattered. So teach me.
And this is where I get to nerd out. So tarot is divided into 2 parts. The deck's divided into 2 parts, your major arcana and your minor arcana. The major arcana tells a story. So you start with the Fool, which is 0, and you go all the way to the World, which is 22, I believe. 22 cards. 22 cards in the major arcana. Then you have 4 suits, each with 10 numbers 1 through 10. 4 suits are cups, pentacles, wands, and swords. We'll get into those a little deeper later. And you have your 1 through 10, kind of like your suits in a playing card deck.
Okay, just like a deck.
And then you have your Jack, Queen, King, and King, but it is the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King.
Extra bonus
card.
Bonus night.
So you go through the journey of the Fool to the World, and the Fool is representative of the start of something new, a new beginning, a fresh start. The Fool, the imagery is a young lad, off on a new adventure. It is like excited energy to get started. And the Fool can also mean being foolish because he's standing on the edge of a cliff. So, but it can also mean taking a leap of faith. So that's where it's like there are so many meanings to these things. You just use the imagery based on the question and when the card comes up to challenge or to
interpret. Or, analyze, self-actualize, which my therapist would tell me not to do.
Yeah. And on the other end of that, you have the World, which is completion. It's like, I love to say the world is your oyster, or you've got the whole world in front of you. And it is like completing a cycle. You go through stages through the whole major arcana.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Going back to that story before about how I was like intentionally dating.
Yeah.
So before I pulled the cards about like, is the man in my life?
Yeah.
I remember there was one guy in there that I was like, this feels right, but also not. And we went back and forth a little bit, and I kept pulling the Justice card. So what do you think that meant?
So Justice is towards the middle of the major arcana. And Justice is a Libra energy, so air sign.
I pulled it during Libra season.
And Libra season is, Libras in general are like fun, flirty, like airy, go with the flow. But there's also always balance. They are always in the middle. They are always neutral. They will not stand on the moral high ground. They will not go to the lowest lows.
Hey, Mr. Virgo's Mercury's in Libra. I know what that's like.
Yep. Yes. And Mr. Virgo, just for reference, is Elisa's partner. But yeah, I would say that justice is kind of like there's two options. And one may be better than the other. Or both could be equal.
That would make sense. Yeah, just to bring it back to that story of that, because I was like, this was the first time that I really dove into, and I wasn't pulling a lot of cards. It was like a one or three card pulls, and I remember I pulled that and I didn't like it, so I shuffled again, and I got justice again, and I go, oh, okay.
Yeah. And justice, I mean, here's the thing too. I think cards like the Tower, cards like the Devil,
Hanged Man, those are the ones that I feel like scare people.
They scare people, and it's like, and I would say media and like entertainment industry will use the tarot cards in like a scary movie to be like, oh, the devil came up. It's like the devil means being tied to the material world. The devil is also representative of Capricorns. Capricorns in astrology are like the hard workers. They are all about material wealth and abundance, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when the devil card pops up, it's about temptation. It's about forgetting who you are in your soul and giving it up to, like, basically falling into the material world of it all.
Fallen angel starts with a Luciferian archetype of that, like Luciferian, you pull for your material world things because that's what society tells us makes you rich, when really we're trying to get away from those Luciferian idealisms in modern age, because it's nice to have nice things, but like, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just more like a don't forget where you came from. Don't forget like where your soul came from. And, you know, the Tower card can be scary. It is an image of a tower falling, being struck by lightning. But what the Tower means is, let's break down what we've built to build a stronger foundation and start again.
Love that.
It is tear down your old belief system to build a stronger, better one. That's not scary. It's hard to do. And the image is a little frightening, but it's not scary. So the Jungian archetypes, it's the universal patterns of human experience, like the hero and the shadow. These reside in the collective unconsciousness, and they're a shared psychic inheritance. Carl Jung saw tarot, particularly its major arcana, as a symbolic representation of the archetypical figures and individual journeys through life towards individualization. Tarot readings through the Jungian lens are a tool for self-exploration, helping individuals connect to their unconscious mind and understand the deeper story of their lives, gaining more self-awareness.
Let's go.
2.
How do different cards or suits relate to energy, elements, and different areas of your life? Give it to us, Jess.
So the cups. We have the cups, the wands, the pentacles, the swords. Cups are water signs. They're emotions. They're emotional decisions. Think the flow of like the
flow of water.
Tears.
Flow of water. I'm still learning because I'm so inspired by this woman. So these are from like my own ways of how I try to remember it as I'm learning and memorizing tarot, that cups is water. It's your emotions. So it's flowing, and they show up when you're navigating love, family, and like you already said, emotional decisions.
Friendships.
But then also think about water can be calm, but water can be also the most destructive.
Yep. And here's the thing too, when you read tarot, you read cards upright, or if they come out upside down, you read them reversed. And cups, I also think of like the cup, like your glass half empty, glass half full. And it is perspective. So when I see like the Ace of Cups, I think overflowing abundance, like the new abundance coming in, cup overfloweth, because it is a chalice and the Holy Grail above it in the imagery in traditional Rider-Waite tarot. Then I think of like that reversed. Having, when the cup is upside down, maybe you're emotionally drained. Maybe you have nothing left to give, and you need to take time for self-care. Maybe you feel like you've been pouring yourself out. Or maybe your viewpoint is that the glass is empty. So again, all images up to interpretation. When we think of wands, we think fire, creativity, passion, creative pursuits. It's that fiery, passionate energy. I also think a lot of when I do like love readings and wands come out, I think passionate energy.
Mm-hmm. And so my inspiration, movement, that gut level drive to like go out and get it done. But just as fire can light the way, it can also burn you if it's not contained and if it's not balanced.
My favorite wand card that comes up that I just think it's funny is the 10 of Wands, because the imagery is a man hugging the wands, and it's like he's hugging all 10 wands and they're all sticking up, and he looks exhausted
because he's trying to hug a big fire.
Well, that, but also it's like the burden of success. You spent all this time creative and now you have all your wands, and look how tired you are with all your wands. Yeah. So just, imagery. We look at the imagery. Pentacles are representative of earth, finances, career, abundance. Some imagery in the Pentacles suit, we have the 4 of Pentacles, which is very representative of like a stable foundation. We have the Ace of Pentacles, a hand holding out a coin, a new opportunity coming your way.
I always think money, because I feel like every time you've done a reading, if it's a good Pentacles card, you're like money, money, money. So you're like tangible things that you can buy, health, but also that earth reminds us of stability and rooting yourself. But I always bring it to the opposite side, because I'm always ready for those reverse cards. Because like I said, I'm learning. If it's reversed, how are you tending to your garden?
Yep.
Are you rooted?
I think it's the 7 of Pentacles is a man standing with a bush that has pentacles in it. And it is very much like you need to plant your seeds and let them grow. Swords are air signs. They are the mind, thoughts, ideas. They are the mental burdens. And I will say swords is the one suit. And there are some cards in the other suits that upright meanings can be more harsh and reflective. So when you think like the imagery of the 2 of Swords, it's a person blindfolded holding 2 swords across their chest. And it's like, make a choice. Stop beating around the bush and make a choice. The 3 of Swords, 3 swords piercing through a heart.
It's
betrayal.
Hard one to see. Yeah.
That's a hard pill to swallow. When I see 3 of Swords come up in a reading, if I see it in a love reading, I'm like, there's a third party. T. If I see it in a reading that's based on career, I'm like, there's betrayal. Somebody is trying to betray you.
Stab you in the back.
Stab
literally.
Stab you in the back, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt your heart. So, but not all swords are, bad cards. There's also the 6 of Swords, which is the image of a person in a boat with all their swords, and they're rowing the boat forward. And I love to say with that, I'm like, you're picking up and moving on. You're leaving your burdens behind you.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed to say I cannot remember who I heard this from, but air is invisible. We need it also to like breathe. It's invisible, but it's powerful. Just like how our thoughts are invisible and powerful, and they shape our reality.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. This is why I love going back to my favorite book, The 4 Agreements. There's an agreement that is, don't make assumptions. Never make assumptions. Because when you assume things, you're making up a scenario in your mind and you're projecting that scenario into the reality. So because you assumed it, it is now true.
And quantum physics would say yes, but we're talking about tarot, not quantum physics right now.
No. But and manifestors would say your thoughts are powerful. Every thought you have has the power to become your reality.
So if you just be pulling a bunch of tarot and it's reverse swords, it's kind of like, hey,
hey, get out of your head. Be present.
Mm-hmm.
So what practices make tarot a sacred ritual and not just a woo-woo practice?
I mean, I'm going to call myself out, but I also have to say, I learned it from you. Just shuffling and seeing what flies out. I was practicing like I think it's the typical 10 card spread, like I think you do 6 in the middle and then you do 4 on the side.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for a while, but it's just, it's so long and it's such a process to like shuffle and put the cards down. And then you're supposed to like turn them over in a particular numerology like way.
You know what I say to that? If it works for you, it works for you. My practice has always been shuffle. If it pops out, I put it down. And then intuitively, as I keep shuffling and cards keep popping out, I start to place them. And wherever I end up placing them, that's what tells me the story. It's an intuition thing. It's what works for you. You can do all here's this spread and here's that spread when you're learning. I think that's great.
Yeah, the 3 card spread is the one I started with.
Yeah. But like if you're learning and you're really starting to get into it, and maybe you've done your 3 card spread, maybe you've done your 6 card cross, maybe you start just pull a few cards. Put them wherever you want to put them. Because when you actually tap into your intuition, that's when I feel like you get better at it. If you're looking to really dive into this, I think it's more like do what feels right with your intuition. Yeah. I pull differently every day. And like even sometimes I just make little piles. And I'm like, okay, here's the first thing you need to know. Here's the second thing you need to know. And here's the third thing you need to know.
Yeah. And the intention of it.
Yeah.
Too. Not that you have to say it out loud, but always you can be open and say, show me anything. But I feel like you're going to get a more clear response from the cards if you're like, I'm looking for what's happening in my love life, career, my family, my ex, whatever you're pulling for.
Yeah. I do like general readings are really funny to do for people because if they're like, I don't know, like whatever the cards want to say, I'm like, okay, but I'm not responsible for what they have to say. Because usually what I find is when you do a general reading, you're going to hear what you really don't want to hear.
Yeah, it's my fun trick now. Like the only way to get better is to practice. So I've been practicing backstage in any show that I've been in the past year for people that are hopefully listening. Remember when I did it? And there was one person who had never gotten a reading before. And like, I still have my booklet. I still have to look things up. And I was pulling stuff and they were looking at me and they're like retracting into themselves and they were like not having a good, and I didn't really know this person. This is just somebody I like shared the stage with. Right. And it was definitely a lover's spread.
Yeah.
And it was the 3 of Swords and like the Knight of Pentacles reversed. Like it was rough. And I didn't know anything about this person. And at the end, they were like, yeah, I'm going through a breakup. And I was like, oh, and now you tell me.
Yeah.
And it was very clear that they like didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want people to know their business. And I didn't mean to drag it into the light.
Yeah.
But they said, I've never had a tarot reading. Just do a spread. And all this came to light. I was like, I really feel like there's a union ending. And they weren't saying anything. And it wasn't until we were alone that they were like, that couldn't have been more true. And I was like,
wow.
I was like, sorry. They're like, no. I needed the clarity. And I was like, okay.
That's good. My favorite readings that I've done for people are the ones where in the moment they're looking at me like, no, that could never, I don't believe that. Like, they're like, I don't know. Like, I don't think that's true. Or like, I don't resonate with that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever you say, you don't have to resonate with it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And then a week later, they text me or they call me and they're like, just the cards. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just had a friend recently who I did a reading for who had a lover that she was curious about. And I was like, he's not the one. He's not what you think he is. And she straight up texted me like a few days later and was like, with him, fuck the cards. And I was like, cool.
And then a few days later,
he was not the one. And I was like, that's just it's so like interesting. Like, I don't take like, I'm like, no credit, you know? I was like, that was the energy of that person.
mm-hmm.
And it came to light. How interesting is that? To me, I'm like, that's so freaking cool that like she didn't resonate with it. Okay, that's fine. Don't resonate with maybe I'm wrong. But when you're right, I'm like, the cards. They know.
I always tell people, I go, you ready? Because I don't know shit, but my cards don't lie.
Oh, what I always say is, I don't sugarcoat anything.
She doesn't.
I really don't. I will tell you like it is. And if you don't like it, again, you don't have to resonate with it. I'm just going to be like, well, this is what they're telling me.
So as you do, as your ritual, your routine, ground yourself. We already talked about like you should be, if you're definitely pulling for yourself, you should be in like an open kind of energy wave.
I open the windows, I light a candle, and I light some Palo Santo.
Cleanse the deck. My favorite thing that Jess does is she intuitively puts crystals on decks just to kind of like wash out the energy, especially if we're having a night with all the girlies and everyone's getting readings. You don't want someone else's energy to like ripple through into your reading. So
my house is also covered in crystals. So.
That's true. Treat it as a dialogue. We've already talked about this, how to make it a story and not a prophecy or an omen. And then, like we talked about, honor your intuition. Place the cards as you want. That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
Comment on this episode and tell us if you intuitively put down your cards. What are you saying?
And does it feel better to do that? I think the beautiful thing about tarot is like everybody has their own practice.
Make it your own. Make it your own routine, your own ritual.
Yeah. And I'll say too, like the way I learned was watching people do it. And I'm actually going to shout out Vanessa Samoina on YouTube. She's an incredible reader. She's so intuitive. She's so like spot on. I love watching her videos. She does it in such a beautiful way. And like, she's so open and like just kind, and like, she does a lot of videos. Go check her out. But I learned by watching her and being like, well, I know that card means that, but she's saying that. Oh, she's really tapped in right now. Maybe I just need to tap in for myself. And from there, built my own practice of how I do it.
I love that.
Like, you have to find what works for you.
And then at the end, you close with gratitude. You thank the cards. You thank the energy that's flowing through you, in you, within you, around you, for the wisdom, the spirit guidance that you get. And then we always take a picture, which I think a lot of people forget to do, or write it down. But like, we live in 2025, just whip out your phone and take a picture so you don't forget. Because the only reason I was able to tell you the exact cards that I pulled in January of 2023 was because I was able to go back and look at the picture that I had taken.
I love, if the message is very clear, I usually don't take a photo, but sometimes I like to, if I'm like, oh, okay, let's see.
I want to go back and look.
I want to go back and look. It's just nice to have the record of it.
To close us out, we've got some journal prompts.
What is a tarot card or archetype that feels most present for you right now? And how might it mirror something in your inner world?
I feel like the fool. Leading to number 2, where am I on my own fool's journey? Beginning, challenge, transformation, or completion? And that's a question that you could probably also ask yourself before you pull, because that's a very clear, like, I'm opening up. Where am I?
Yeah. That can be the first card you pull.
Yeah.
Tell me where I am on my journey.
And last, Jess.
How can I bring more intention or ritual into the way I pull cards so it becomes a dialogue with my deeper self?
Let us know.
we're excited to hear how it goes.
We will catch you next week with
the 12 houses of you, diving into astrology and the 12 houses of the birth chart.
So excited.
Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you were here.
For more info on our episodes and to connect with us on social media,
follow us at Spiritual Alchemy Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Stay golden!